What's going on, guys? Welcome to the first episode of Hire and Fire. Welcome to the first episode of Hire and Fire, where I'll be interviewing people from all over the world in all types of industries about their journeys in scaling their businesses, specifically with hiring the right team members, retaining them, and firing people when things don't work out. I'm very excited about the episodes that are coming in. We have unbelievable guests, some people that you guys have heard of, some people you guys haven't heard of, and some people that I'm actually getting to know of as well. You know, I have a lot of people that I want to get to know, and you know, to ask for 30, 45 minutes of someone's time on a weekly basis is challenging at times. So I really appreciate the guests that have given me the time to do it. And this is something that I'm very, very passionate about. The first episode though, is going to be about me, because you guys need to get to know me and my story, because many years ago, this was not the case. This type of life, this type of lifestyle was really far away from reality. Really, about 4 years ago, I was completely on my own. I was in school. I knew I wasn't supposed to be in school. I feel like I wasted a lot of my time and money there. And I always felt like I was out to do something bigger. I always felt like, man, my story is kind of crazy. And it's pretty ironic. I'm actually wearing my Jerusalem hat here because that's actually where I'm from. I'm from Jerusalem, Israel. I was born and raised there. I speak Hebrew. And my family is actually from Russia, from the Soviet Union. So I'm half Russian, half Israeli. And even when I was in Israel, I always felt like I was destined to be something more. I always felt like I was different than all the kids. I don't know what it was. I don't know if that sounds a little too cliche or you hear that all the time, but I just felt like something was different. And when I was 11 and a half years old, we actually moved from Jerusalem to the United States. My parents literally sat me down a few months back. It was like around September, October. And they told me, hey, we won the green card. We're going to move to the United States. And as an 11-year-old, I just thought that they were kidding. I didn't think this was going to be long term. I thought that we were visiting it. I didn't really understand what was happening because we just had moved to a new house in Israel. I just moved to a new school. I just made new friends again for the third time in my life. And 3 months later, they're telling me we're moving to a different continent. You know what I mean? And at the time, I didn't speak a lot of English. I had just enough English to get by. Spoke Hebrew and Russian. And then when I moved here, I mean, it was the craziest thing ever. I remember just being like, I just felt so out of place. I felt like, what am I doing here? And the whole time, the first 1 or 2 years, I really thought we were gonna go back. You know, even though I'm from Israel, and you know, a lot of people always hear about Jewish people, Jewish Americans. I didn't really grow up with that type of blessing in a sense. And what I mean by that, like my parents are not like the rich Jews. They're not like, my dad's not an engineer, my mom's not a lawyer, right? My dad actually was driving a taxi in Israel, and he became an Uber driver in the US after he was a truck driver. Actually was a truck driver for like about 6 years. And then my mom works in an office. So it's not like, we didn't really come from money. But we grew up in an area with a lot of wealth. Shout out to my parents, because they could have moved anywhere in Atlanta, Georgia. We could have lived like in the hood. We could have lived in Lawrenceville. Some of you guys are probably not familiar with that, but it's not the nice part. We actually moved to Johns Creek, which is one of the highest per capita places in the US. The average income in Johns Creek, I believe, is around 6 figures, which is insane. My parents made nowhere near that. So immediately off the bat, I was going to school with very rich kids. We were very successful people, and I didn't speak English. And I just remember always being confused and always being like, what am I doing here? Like, I'm so out of place here. Thankfully, I made friends early on, and a lot of them are still my friends today. And, you know, I started diversifying myself in the culture and started really becoming a part of the culture. And it's actually funny now. English is my first language, Hebrew is my second, Russian is my third, and I'm learning Spanish, and I'll get to that in a minute here. So as I was growing up, I always felt out of place. I always felt like there was something off with me, right? I was not meant for school. I didn't get good grades, but I always made good relationships. I always had a lot of different friends. Actually, going into my high school years, I was friends with 3 different groups of like people. I was friends with like the kids that smoked a lot of weed. I was friends with the jocks, people that played sports, and then I was friends with the popular kids. And even then, I always felt a little bit out of place. I always felt like, man, let me be friends with these guys. Like, I always want to explore all these different situations. But what changed my life, you know, I always say there's a few moments, there's a few points in someone's life that change everything. They've changed their perception of life. They change the way they live. They change everything. And it's what we call the butterfly effect, right? Great movie, by the way. If you guys haven't checked it out, by Ashton Kutcher, one of my favorite movies. I've seen it like 3 times in the last year. My first butterfly effect was moving from Israel to the US. completely, culture shock, language shock, like everything you guys can think of, I experienced it. But the second one that was in my control, right? The first one wasn't in my control, right? It was my parents like, hey, we're moving to the US, blah, blah, blah. The second one was when I was a senior in high school, I joined a network marketing called Vima, which was a supplement company. They sold energy drinks and like vitamins and all this stuff. And again, guys, I did not come from a business family. No one in my family owns a business. My cousins, my uncles, like literally nothing. So for me to join Vima was a huge step. I remember paying $500 for a pack of drinks, telling my parents, they got freaking pissed. My mom actually smacked the shit out of me. I'll never forget. It was the hardest she's ever hit me when I invested $500. Because at that time, I was actually working at Five Guys. I was working at Five Guys for probably about, I want to say 6-7 months, making $7-8 an hour. And it was whatever. I hated that job only because I had no one to talk to. Everybody I worked with spoke Spanish. I was the only one that spoke like fluent English. And I just felt like I was always going to work by myself. I wanted to work with some people, like give me someone I can talk to and get to know better, but there was nobody. So I joined Vima purely because I actually liked the product. I genuinely liked the energy drink. I remember drinking and being like, whoa, this is delicious. I don't like energy drinks. I don't drink coffee, but this is delicious. And what's funny about it is this is one of those network marketing is viewed as a pyramid scheme, right? You got to get people under you to make money and all that stuff. But at the time, I didn't think of it like that. I saw people my age or a little bit older making $500, $1,000, $2,000 a month, $3,000 a month. And to me in high school was like, whoa, these guys are rich. I've never seen anything like it. And they're at this event and it just blew my mind. So for me, it was a no-brainer. Like I was actually probably the easiest close. I came home and I bought it. I bought it and I didn't make money at all, guys, to be honest with you. I always tell it as a joke. I made actually, I'll take that back. I made $500, but I spent like $6,000. So my ROI on it was horrible. But through Vima, through the power of what's called network marketing, the number one thing you get there is networking. I got to meet one person, which was the second time everything changed in my life. I got to meet one person that changed everything for me, which was Marcus Rosinger. Shout out to Marcus. I can't thank that person enough. Literally, my life wouldn't be anywhere near this if I didn't meet him. But before I met him, I was in Vima for 2 years, guys. Going to home events, doing door to door, spreading the word to my friends, spreading the word to high school people. I lost a lot of friends from this because I was always trying to push it, and it just wasn't working. People weren't, enjoying the drink as much. They didn't like the business plan. We always had to talk to parents, and it was just a sketchy kind of business. Anytime you have to talk to the parent of a person to do business with, and that parent is not a business partner, it's already a sketchy business, which is why I don't love network marketing. I do think it's a great way to start and get yourself into the sales world and get uncomfortable. Don't think it's the best business to build actual real wealth in today's day and age. Now, for 2 years, guys, I was in it. Again, going to home events, meeting all these people. And then we had one thing called Super Saturday. And that's actually where all the people in Georgia, and there was probably like 300 to 400 people. So Vima was relatively successful in Georgia, even though I wasn't making a lot of money and none of our team was making a lot of money. We grew a huge team. So on a side note, the way Vima works is that you have to get people on two different legs. So let's say I sign up, I gotta get someone on one leg, and then I gotta get someone on another leg. And for me to make a lot of money, they both have to bring in a lot of people. Well, what we did wrong is we only built one leg. So we actually had like 200 to 300 customers, buyers, other affiliate marketers under one leg. So I had literally nothing on the other leg, and you have to in order to make money, you have to have people on both legs, which was, going back, if we can go back, we would do it completely different. We would build both legs, but we didn't know that. We were trying to build one big leg and then build the other one in the future. And anyways, going back to Super Saturdays were hosted once a quarter, I want to say, and people all over Georgia would come in and they would meet our uplines. They would meet people from California and Arizona that are making, 6 figures or high 70, 80K a year, selling the same exact product as us. They've just been doing it longer and they're just better overall, right? They're older guys too. They're probably in their, early 20s, mid 20s, late 20s. We were 18, 19 years old. And I vividly remember this. It's so funny. I remember seeing this kid with red hair, buzz cut, with his blonde girlfriend. He's walking around with a selfie stick, right? Almost like he's introducing himself with a selfie stick to everyone. I remember shaking his hand like, yo, what's up, man? And that was Marcos. And what's funny is Marcos actually was on a whole nother team. What Marcos did for his business and bringing people to his organization did absolutely nothing for me, and vice versa. Anybody I would bring on did nothing for him. But it was cool to see him, right? It was another person my age, super motivated, super hungry. We have a very, very brief conversation. Didn't think anything of it, whatever, we left. And then a few months later, this is early 2015, I dropped out of school. And by the way, guys, if you're thinking of dropping out of school, do it early. Don't do it like 2-3 months into your semester, because you're just gonna pay money for nothing. Literally, I had to withdraw from school after I already paid for it. Horrible decision. I wish I didn't even go in the first place, but whatever. And then one day, Marcos posted in the Facebook group that he's looking for a roommate. And my parents were in the process of kicking me out because their rule was, you're either in school and we pay for everything, or you're out. If you wanna go work, you wanna go live on your own, that's fine. If you're not in school, you're on your own. So they were like in the process of kicking me out. And then Marcos posted, hey, I need a roommate. So I go, I hit him up and I go to his house and I'm like, wow, I definitely want to live here. There's other people my age. I think this is great. They're also all in Vima. Let's make it happen. So I moved there. And at that time, I was actually working at Topgolf. And I actually credit Topgolf to a lot of my conversational skills, because I got to meet amazing people. I got to work with amazing people, and I met a lot of my celebrities and a lot of athletes. And I used to be the kid that, up to the age of 18, 19, I met nobody famous. And then at Topgolf, I made all these celebrities and all these athletes and got to talk to them and understand, wow, these guys are just like us. They're normal people, most of them. Some of them are kind of assholes, but not all of them. And during my time in Topgolf, I conversated probably with 200,000 people, because it was the only Topgolf in the South. We were the 12th Topgolf in the country. And now there's over 200, I want to say there's 200 Topgolfs all over the States and like Canada, and they're continuing expanding. But back then it was only 12 of us. And the closest one to Alpharetta, which is where I grew up, was in Virginia. So people from Florida, Alabama, South Carolina, Tennessee would drive to Georgia for Topgolf, which was insane. So I got to meet all these people. And I was working at Topgolf, but then I moved to live with Marcos at his house in Buford, and it's about an hour drive. So I would actually live with Marcos, but I would drive an hour for this $9 an hour job. And it was just not a good decision. So I was doing that for another 6 months. At this point, I've been working at Topgolf for like 2 years. And one day, I'm like, all right, I need to find a better job. Like, I'm driving an hour. Maybe somebody out there is looking for another position. I want to learn sales. I think I can do it. And one of my other best friends, shout out to Josh Meckward, offered me a job with his family's business called Biocide Labs, and they actually sell products that remove mold, which is actually super legit product, super legit company. And I worked there for about 6 months. So I quit Topgolf and I started working there early 2016. And I worked there for about 5-6 months, and it was really my first sales job, right? At Topgolf, I learned how to conversate with people, but it was never like an actual sales job. Then I went to work at Biocide Labs, and I was getting paid commission plus a little salary and learning how to cold call and just, selling over the phone. It was a really cool opportunity. But then it's literally like the Wolf of Wall Street scene. Marcos comes home one day and he showed me a $10,000 check. And I remember looking at it and being like, wow. And Marcos was working at car sales. He was working for Toyota, AutoNation Toyota, which was one of the biggest Toyota dealerships in the state. And he's been working there for maybe 3 or 4 months. And he came home one day and he literally showed me that $10,000 check. And when he showed it to me, I literally was like, I'm quitting. I'm going to go work at car sales. So I go in the interview at the car sales job, get the job. And I worked there for probably 4 or 5 months. And I hated it, guys. I literally hated it. I wish I would go back to the mold job. It was so much more chill, so much less stress. Car sales is one of the most difficult, in my opinion, it might be the most difficult sales job out there besides door to door. And the one thing it did teach me is hard work. It taught me how to work 60, 70, 80 hours a week. It did teach me a lot of actual sales tactics, selling someone over Zoom and selling someone in person. It's a little bit different. It's a different energy. It's a different way of communicating. It's a different body language, way different. And unfortunately, I got fired. It didn't work out. It's a long story. Not going to get into it right now. And I was completely bumming it because I actually saved up some money. And I actually, for 3-4 months, I was living in Marcos's house without a job. I saved up enough money to pay rent, and I was just smoking weed on my own, like just kind of depressed. It was like really probably the lowest time of my life. Just wasn't motivated. Didn't really want to do anything in my life. I just remember just being lost, confused, dazed, just doing my thing. And Marcos at that time invested into a course by Tai Lopez. Probably all of you guys know him. For those of you who don't, wow, how are you on the internet? But Tai Lopez is the guy that made the commercial Here in My Garage. And we started watching the course, and I thought it was so cool. I was like, wow, this guy is literally advertising he's bringing business to these brick and mortar businesses that don't know how to do anything on Facebook. They don't know how to write ads, don't know anything about copy sales. and he's helping them grow. But I was dumb and I didn't really take it serious, and I didn't think it was going to blow up. And I remember Marco sat me down. He's like, hey, listen, I'm quitting Toyota. I'm making good money, but I'm going to quit Toyota. I'm going to drive to Colorado. I want to live there. I love paragliding, and I want you to come with me, and I want you to start this. We'll do this together. We'll figure it out. I'll invest into you. I'll pour money into you. Like, well, let's do this. And I was so scared, and I also felt bad because Marcos, I was already living with him for 2 years at his house. I paid $300 or $400 for rent. His parents actually moved back, and he kicked everybody out besides me, and he's done all this stuff for me, and I felt bad adding more into his life. I never liked being the person like that I don't want to say drags people down, but like I don't like asking for people for more after they've given me so much already, you know what I mean? Unless I'm providing value back, it makes no sense. And I felt like I wasn't providing value, and he's just giving me all this value, and I just felt bad. So this is 2017 now, February 2017. Marcos drives to Colorado, and we kind of separated. I actually go back to live with my parents after 2 years of working in multiple jobs, learning sales. I moved back with my family, and I felt so disappointed in myself, so depressed, and so like, damn, how did I go back? Like I told myself I never want to move back, and then I moved back. The worst part is now I'm going back to school, right? I had to sign up back to classes. I switched my major from communication to psychology. I thought that was gonna make a difference, and it didn't. Now, from February 2017 until August of 2018, so about a year and a half-ish, about a year and a half, I was really committed to working out. I was in the best shape of my life. I need to get back into it. I was driving for Uber and Lyft, and that was really my life. I was in school, driving for Uber, Lyft, and I was working out. That was literally those three things, the most consistent three things I was doing. While I was driving for Uber and Lyft, I actually started a journal, and I actually asked people in my passenger, I asked them, what's the best advice you have for a 21-year-old? And I literally had a journal, and I would give people that journal, and everybody gave me crazy advice, right? Some people invest in real estate. Some people said don't drive drunk. Like it was all types of advice. All of it mostly was good, great advice. And I remember just driving for Uber and just, I'm just, listening to a lot of music, listening to Mac Miller, listening to Russ, listening to Kid Cudi. A lot of, I'm a huge art music fan, and just like thinking, what am I doing in my life? Like I'm going to school, I'm wasting my time. I actually got my grades up because I withdrew 2 years ago. I got my grades from 0.4 GPA to 2.0. So I mostly got A's and B's. And I just still felt like, man, I'm just doing this for my parents. I'm literally in school 100% for my parents, not for me. I literally don't want to be there. And then one day, August 2018, Marcos, I actually want to go back actually. So August 2018 is a very important month, but I'm going to go back to March 2018 because a few months before that, for the first time I came to visit Marcos. I actually have never left. I've never been anywhere in the US outside of Georgia, Florida, and Tennessee, and New York. That was really the only 4 states I can think of I've been there. Maybe South Carolina, like 5 states. Never went anywhere to the West Coast, ever. Like not even Kentucky. So I worked one weekend, and I told Marcos I'm going to fly out to see him in Colorado. And I went to visit him, and I was like, wow, this place is sick. Colorado is beautiful. It was right in the middle, is right in the beginning of spring. It was great weather. We went hiking. He showed me around. I was only there for 3 days, so we could only do so much. But I actually ended up meeting up one of his ex-business partners, Joel Kaplan. I remember meeting Joel and being like, holy shit, this guy is, 26, 27 years old, and he won't shut up about business. Like literally, they were Marcos and Joel were business partners at that time. They were helping chiropractors and stem cells doctors and dentists just get more patients in the door. And they only were doing maybe 10 or 20K per month at that point. And dealing with maybe 5 or 6 clients. And I remember like meeting Joel, and for the entire time, he wouldn't shut up about business, about Bitcoin, about all this stuff. It was just so motivated. I was like, dude, I've never met someone like this. Not even Marcos is this motivated. It was a little crazy. Whatever, didn't think anything of him. Fast forward 6 months later in August, they gave me a call super randomly. Like me and Marcos were talking a couple times a month, but it was never like consistently, like he was never trying to recruit me consistently. Marcos would always plant seeds about recruiting me, but it was never serious. It's like, yo, one day you're gonna come work for us, and one day you're gonna come work for us. And they were never doing like insane numbers to where they needed a salesperson or my services at all. But in August, this is about 5-6 months later, they were doing about 30-40K a month, and they felt like they needed a salesperson. So they gave me a call super randomly. I remember thinking like, what are you guys calling me for? And they were like, dude, we need you to come to Colorado. We need you to drop everything you're doing and come work for us. And I thought to myself, you guys are crazy. I love the offer. Let me think about it. But in my head, I was like, there's literally no way I'm doing this. Like they think I'm doing it. I just signed up for school. I literally just got a job at Whole Foods. Like literally the week that they called me, I was supposed to start like a week after. They gave me like a certain date that I was supposed to start. And I thought to myself, like, what are you guys thinking? Like, I just paid for school. I just got a job at Whole Foods. I'm working out. Life is good. Like I started feeling like even though in reality I wasn't happy, but I thought to myself, like, maybe this is a good opportunity, whatever. But I turned it down. And I remember they offered it to me, and I called Marcos a couple days later, and I was like, dude, thank you so much for the offer. I really appreciate it, but I can't take it. And Marcos, being the person he is, he's just like, okay, bye. Like, he didn't even try to convince me. Thankfully, Joel called me back and he was like, bro, I don't know you like that, but are you fucking retarded? Like, what is wrong with you? I'm giving you an opportunity of a lifetime right now to come work for us. We're literally, one of the biggest things that I was scared of is I had no money saved up. I literally had $100 to my name, and they said, yo, when you come here, we're gonna hand you $2,000. We're gonna pay you a base for the first 3 months until you're settled in. We're gonna help you find a place. And I was just like, dude, all right, I'll do it, fuck it. And I still wasn't 100% sure. Honestly, I told them I'll do it, but I still wasn't 100% sure. And that day I was driving for Uber, and I asked 3 random passengers. It was like the last 3 rides of my day. And I asked them, hey, I'm 21 years old. Here's the situation. They offered me a job. They offered me base. They told me drop everything and come live in Colorado. Would you do it? And all 3 of these people, they were all different ages, different cultures, different humans, completely in different areas of Georgia. They all said, you would be stupid not to take it. You have one opportunity like this, go do it. And I remember calling my sister. She was like, I remember just telling her I would do it. And she was just like, wow, like kind of like freaked out. She was in a football game, I'm pretty sure. And then I called my best friend Ethan, and I asked him the same thing. And he's like, dude, you need to just do it. The worst case scenario, you can just come back and go back to school. Like, what's the worst case? And I was like, that is the worst case. And that's actually not that bad. So then I come home. This was like Friday night. I sit my parents down. I tell them, hey, Sunday, I'm packing all my stuff and I'm driving to Colorado. And it's actually funny, the way I told them, they thought I got a girl. Because I brought them together. I was like, Mom, Dad, can you come to get here? And they were already freaked out. They're like, well, what's going on? Like, it was always like pessimistic. They always thought something was wrong. That I was going to confess to them something horrible. But I literally sat them down and told them, hey, Sunday night. So this was Friday. Sunday night, 2 days from today, I'm going to pack my stuff. I'm going to go drive to Colorado and I'm going to try and make something out of myself. And my mom was like, what? And she just started crying. My dad was like, they were just confused because this was so random. It wasn't like I was planting seeds like, hey, I'm gonna go here. Like that was never talked about. I just paid for school. I finished my 3rd semester in a row. I was entering my 4th semester in a row, which is I've never done when it comes to college, and got my grades up. Things are looking good. And then I just dropped that bomb on them. So Saturday, I spent all day packing. Sunday morning, I literally make my drive with $150 to my name, guys. Less than $200. I don't remember having $200 from Georgia to Colorado. And it was absolutely insane thinking about it now, because I literally knew no one in Colorado besides Marcus and another friend. I knew nothing about chiropractic, knew nothing about marketing, nothing about Facebook. And for some reason, they saw something in me that I didn't see myself. And I think a lot of you guys, this is like a golden point, is sometimes you guys are hiring people and you see something in them that they don't see in themselves. And as a CEO, as a leader, as a manager, whatever your role is, it's your job to exploit that. It's your job to really help people reach their potential and grow as humans and grow as people. And that's what Marcos and Joel helped me see. They helped me see something in myself that I didn't see that I didn't have. It was nothing, guys. I always knew my life was going to be different. I just didn't know when. And there's no better time than now to start doing something with your life. So August 2018, I drive up to Colorado, and man, it was crazy because I was broke. Colorado was freaking cold. I actually didn't have a house. The first week and a half, 2 weeks, I actually stayed with one of my friends, Igor. I stayed with in his van. I slept in his little van for the first week and a half. I didn't have a place to stay. I didn't have a place to sleep in. And then we finally found an apartment. I moved into that apartment. They ended up kicking me out because they wanted someone a little bit older and more mature because I was a 24-year-old kid, whatever. It was a really random reason. But those 3-4 months were tough because I wasn't selling. Atlas Digital was not, they were consistently getting the same revenue, and they were consistently adding and losing the same amount of clients. And they were doing about 30, 40K a month. And Atlas Digital actually serves chiropractors and helps them get more patients through the door, which is amazing. But I didn't know anything about chiropractic, and I was cold calling every single day, and I was doing cold email, and we actually came up with a really, really awesome email strategy to get chiropractors to get on calls with us. It actually worked really well. I crafted like a cool script after testing all these different scripts, and finally something worked. And then in December of 2018, I remember it was like the lowest point because I had no money. I had to come visit my parents and my family. I needed my mom to buy me a ticket. I came home with no presents for Christmas or Hanukkah. And I just remember my mom thinking like, what are you doing with your life? Like, you're over there, you're making no money. Like, why don't you just come back and like live here and just figure it out? And I'm like, no, I'm gonna figure it out. And it was the like lowest point because I was on my own, and there was some success. I was sending appointments. I had maybe a couple closes by December, being there 4 or 5 months at that point, but it was nothing near the amount of money that I've gotten. I've actually gotten paid more than I've provided value because I was on salary. So I felt bad. So come January, this is January 2019, Marcos and Joel sat me down. They said, hey, listen, we love you. You're doing great. You bring great energy. You're a great team culture. You're literally everything. You're literally everything we want, but the results are not there. You're not selling. At the end of the day, results are the only thing that matters. You can be a great person, great culture. Everything's cool. If there's no results, it doesn't fucking matter. So they sat me down. They said, hey, listen, if you don't close 5 people by the end of the month, we're going to have to let you go. And, we don't want to, but that's the reality of things. And something clicked, guys, at that point. And keep in mind, 5-6 months, it wasn't like I was slacking off and doing nothing. I was cold calling. I was doing cold email. I was asking for referrals. I was checking in with clients. I was doing everything I was supposed to. And while I was doing that, because I was putting the work in, I was acquiring a lot of knowledge. That knowledge boosted me up. That knowledge made me understand what chiropractic is, how they're getting patients, what the different plans are, why some chiropractors are successful, why some are not, the areas where chiropractors are successful versus not, the services. I really understood it. And it took me it shouldn't have taken me that long, but it did take me that long. So when they sat me down and gave me that quota, that week I actually sold 5 people, and I ended up selling like 12 people that month. And then February, I made my first 5-figure check. And then all of 2019, I actually made almost 200K in commissions. We scaled from 40K a month to close to 250K a month. We did over $2 million in sales, and we became like a lead industry leader when it comes to chiropractic. And it was amazing to see because I was the only sales rep. We had 1 or 2 account managers. We had a few VAs. We had a team of less than 10 people in a multi-million-dollar business. And it was incredible. Like, first time in my life, I felt like I achieved something. I started making serious money. I went to all these conferences. I went to 10X and Thrive, and I actually went to Israel, which for the first time, I went back to Israel for the first time in 3 or 4 years with money in my pocket. And I got to see my grandma, and she got to watch me work. Like, I literally remember seeing my grandma, hanging out with her. And then because we're in the virtual world, I took like a couple calls, and she literally was watching TV while I was taking calls. And I actually closed a few people in Israel. And I remember being so fulfilled. I was like, holy shit, I literally just made money in another part of the world, where my part of the world, literally my hometown, in front of the person that cares so much about me and I care so much about them. It was honestly one of the best moments. Now that I'm saying it, was literally one of the best moments of my life. And while we were scaling the business, Joel actually did something absolutely genius. Instead of continuing scaling Atlas Digital, because with chiropractic, you're capped. There's only 40 or 50,000 chiropractors in North America. What he did was he took all the methods and all the systems and everything that helped us grow from 0 to over 200,000 a month. Our peak was actually 300K a month. And he actually started teaching agency owners on those methods. And he scaled that to an 8-figure company. He's helped thousands and thousands of people. And when I say him, it's really credit to Mark and Sergio as well for getting that going, which is amazing. And they've helped thousands of people. And I remember after being for 2 years in Atlas Digital, I remember thinking to myself, like, man, I've achieved everything at this point. Like, I went from a salesperson to VP of sales. I'm training sales reps. I got paid to consult people on sales, and it was great. But Atlas, I felt like kind of reached its peak. At that point, it's been a few years. There was a few things that I wanted to do that they didn't want to see, and we just started not seeing really eye to eye too much. And it's no worries. Marcos is still one of my best friends. I still love and care about him a lot. But it was time for me to move on to the next step, which is high ticket sales. So that's where I joined. Joel was selling his coaching program to agency owners, and I joined in 2020, right? A few months after the whole COVID craziness. And I ended up selling, going into selling high ticket was not as big of a transition. It took me 1 or 2 months to really understand and hone high ticket versus low ticket, even though selling 2K package, it's not like selling $200 package. It's very similar selling $10,000 and $2,000 packages. But the point is, it didn't take me nearly as much time. It took me 2 months to really understand what I'm selling. And then I ended up selling over 150 people into the program, over way more than $1 million in cash collected that year, which was awesome to see. And then most importantly, the coolest part was seeing a lot of agency owners succeed. I love chiropractic, and I love chiropractors. I actually see when I was living in San Diego and Colorado, I was seeing, I totally missed this step. I actually moved to San Diego at one point, but I was seeing a chiropractor at one point. I love chiropractic, but it was definitely not as, I was definitely not as passionate about them as I was with entrepreneurs and agency owners. And while I was selling the coaching program, I saw there was a hole. There was one hole. While Agency Lab, at the time they were called 7-Figure Agency, they were providing you everything. Funnels, systems, sales processes, how to get appointments, how to sell. Literally everything. The one thing that was missing is people in your business. Because when you scale, you need people. You need virtual assistants. You need media buyers. You might need video editors, graphic designers. You need sales reps. You need account managers. There was no way of getting them. So I thought to myself, maybe I can, if there's a way where I can find people from all over the world and place them inside of agencies, maybe there's a way to help them out. And boy, did that work out. To date, we started FAVA. This is where my company Using FAVA started, November 2020. To date, we've helped over 200 businesses, from agency owners to e-commerce brands to gym owners to real estate agents. You name it. We work with literally anyone that needs a virtual assistant. And our goal, right, my mission is to actually help 10,000 of these businesses and 10,000 people find jobs, find remote jobs, because I know how amazing it is to be able to work anywhere you want and to just be in control, whether you're the CEO or not, working remote, right? Being able to spend time with your family, being able to work from home, being able to travel and work, right? My team, for instance, Isabella, shout out to Isabella, our account manager, she was just in Wisconsin getting to spend time with her friends and family and also working, making some money on the side, which is the ultimate goal. I want to be able to create a complete total remote team and have them travel and work. As long as the work gets done and we're fulfilled, it's amazing, right? And now, after almost 4 years, I get to live in a beautiful house here in Medellin, Colombia. Learning Spanish is my fourth language, and really getting to live the life I've dreamt about. Now, do I have everything I want in my life? No. Am I 100% fulfilled in my life? No. Am I anywhere close where I want to be? No, I'm honestly not. But man, I have taken, looking back, even saying my story, I have come such a long way from where I was. I was literally in Colorado, I was sleeping on a sheet. I didn't even have a bed for a long time. It's actually a true story. I had no money. And now I have a team of 7 people. We're hiring a few more over the next couple of months. And I really want to grow this team, and I want to be able to take care of my team, because my team is the most important thing for me. Be able to take care of my clients and be able to take care of these people all over the world that live in these third world countries like myself, right? I'm living in this, I get to see this every day, right? Living in Colombia. And I know that there are people here that speak English that have potential to be great, have potential to connect with a lot of people, but there's no way for them to do that. And that's where we come in. We're helping these people that speak English, that have skill sets, and we're placing them in remote jobs on a regular basis. And the goal, again, is to do this 10,000 times. We've done this 200 times. There's no reason why we can't do it 10,000 times. I'm very confident myself and my team can do it. So I want to give a huge shout out to my team, right? From Christian John to Michael to Isabella to Alex to Daniel to Sergio and to Hannah. They've done an amazing job. My team motivates me like crazy. They are the reason that I get to do all this crazy stuff, and I get to support them. I get to invest back into them. I'm doing some really cool stuff with my own team. I don't even talk about it. I will talk about it very soon, because it's one of the biggest flexes for me, being able to take care of specifically one of my teammates very shortly. That'll come very soon. But anyways, guys, that's really my story. I know it's kind of all over the place. I'm still figuring out how to put all the pieces together. I'm looking forward to connecting. The next episode is actually going to be with Eric Fasnat. When I shot this episode initially, it was not for the podcast. It was just to do an interview. And then I was thinking to myself, man, I really like interviewing people. A lot of these guys are my clients. A lot of these guys are awesome people, and they need to share tips and the tricks and the things that they wish that they heard 2, 3, 4 years ago. And so when I recorded it, we never really mentioned the podcast. We never mentioned the name. So this will be Hire Fire episode 2. I'm super duper excited for it. And I'm hoping to continue providing you guys some sort of value, right? My biggest takeaway, the way I'm going to end each segment, and I kind of got this from Eddie Malouf and Andrew Deitch with their 4 Media content, 4 Media Uncut, I should say. And it's they say to give tips to the world. And I'm gonna actually kind of change that, and I'm gonna say the takeaway. It's gonna be the way we're gonna end each podcast is with 1 or 2 takeaways based on the conversation, right? Whether it was from me or from the person I interviewed on the podcast. So the biggest takeaway, guys, is where you are today does not determine where you're gonna be 5 to 10 years from now. Where you are today is literally based on the circumstances and based on the habits and based on the people you surround yourself with. That's it. So where you are today, whether you're in a high point in your life, whether you're in a low point in your life, all that can change within 1 year. Literally 365 days, I believe anybody can change anything they want. Your wealth, your relationships, your health, whatever it is, in just 1 year. Just hard to commit to it because it feels so far away. March 10th, 2023 feels like lifetime from now. But in reality, it's in a snap of a finger and we're right there. And that's really my takeaway. Where you are today does not determine where you're going to be in the future. So hopefully that helps, guys. I look forward to episode 2. We're going to be posting these, I believe, every single Thursday. I'm going to confirm that with my team Thursday afternoon. And if you're listening to this on YouTube, on Spotify, on Google Play, on Amazon, wherever you are, I appreciate you. And I appreciate you sending the message. And I look forward to continue providing a ton of value to you guys. God bless. See you soon.